This time on Documentify TV. For most of the 20th century, researchers believed humans arrived in the Americas around 13,000 years ago. That timeline no longer holds. At White Sands, New Mexico, human footprints have been securely dated to around 23,000 years ago, during the height of the last ice age. And in Yukon, cut-marked animal bones from Bluefish caves show people were present even earlier. These dates weren't accepted lightly. They were tested using multiple independent methods, and they agree. So today, the question isn't whether people were here early, it's what's happened to them afterward. When researchers began sequencing ancient DNA, something unexpected appeared. In several regions, the earliest populations don't seem to be the ancestors of the people who came later. In the Caribbean, genetic evidence shows that early archaic populations were almost entirely replaced by later ceramic age groups, long before Europeans arrived. In South America, the oldest genomes, dating to around 11 to 9,000 years ago, share ancestry with early North American groups. But after that, this lineage largely disappears, replaced by populations with different genetic signatures. And in the Arctic, Paleo-Eskimo cultures like the Dorset lived across the region for thousands of years before being replaced by the Thule peoples, the ancestors of modern Inuit. This isn't one site or one region, it's a recurring pattern. There's one finding that complicates the picture even further. Some indigenous populations in the Amazon carry a faint genetic signal related to people from Australasia, a region on the other side of the planet. This signal doesn't appear in ancient North American genomes, and no corresponding archaeological sites have been found. Geneticists call this a ghost signal, evidence of ancestry without a clear population history. What it represents isn't settled. It could reflect an early migration that left little trace, or deep population structure within the first peoples entering the Americas. What matters is what it doesn't show. It doesn't point to a lost civilization or a separate human species. It points to complexity and to the limits in what our data can resolve. It's tempting to treat missing evidence as a mystery, but archaeology has very ordinary reasons for why traces disappear. Sea levels rose dramatically after the Ice Age, submerging vast coastal landscapes where early people lived. In places like the Amazon, acidic soils destroy bone almost completely, leaving genetics to fill gaps the ground can't preserve. And sometimes, when looks like a human tool isn't human at all. In Brazil, wild capuchin monkeys produce stone flakes indistinguishable from simple tools once attributed to early humans. Absence in archaeology usually means loss, not suppression. Here's what the evidence leaves us. Humans were present in the Americas much earlier than once believed. In several regions, early populations were later replaced or absorbed by others. And in some cases, genetic signals suggest people we still can't fully trace. What we don't know is why these changes happened. Climate shifts, migration, competition, or chance. The story isn't about lost civilizations. It's about how fragile human traces are and how incomplete the records will always be. What's emerging isn't a mystery to believe in, but a history complex enough that we're still learning how to read it. If you want to see how archaeologists actually test early human claims, watch this video on the screen now. That's it for today's video, folks. See you next time, right here on Documentify TV.